welcome to downtown LA. So we are standing here at the corner of Grand Avenue and 2nd Street, which is at the heart of the famous cultural institutions of Los Angeles. Right behind me is the Frank Gehry designed Disney Concert Hall, and that is the home of the LA Philharmonic. Next to it is the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, and that is where the LA Opera plays. And then if you pan to the left, you can see just a little glimpse of the Broad Museum, which is a modern art museum that just opened a few years ago. And it's designed by Dilla, Scofidio, and Renfro. So we're going to visit each of these buildings in this episode, and I'll show you around, point out interesting things, and maybe there'll be a few surprises in store for us. So if everybody's happy with my little scheme of walking up and down Grand Avenue, then let's go. This was built about 20 years ago, but the design and funding for the building actually started 20 years before that. Walt Disney's widow actually specifically hired Frank Gehry to design this building, and it took Frank Gehry about 20 years to get all the pieces in place. At first, they were planning to cover the entire facade with stone slabs, but that turned out to be not practical. As you can imagine, the weight of it would have been too much. So they decided to go with these very curvy metal sheets. And that was not entirely smooth sailing either, because initially these metal sheets reflected too much light, disrupted the neighbors, so much so they got too many complaints. So they had to sand these sheets down such that they no longer reflected light as much. So like most Frank Gehry projects, this one went way over budget, but eventually it was unveiled, and now it is an iconic landmark in the LA skyline. So speaking of Frank Gehry, if you turn around, this is the newest Frank Gehry design building in Los Angeles. This was under construction for a long time, and now it's finally open for business. It is a very large complex. I think there's a hotel here. There are condos or apartments on the upper stories, and then commercial space on the lower stories. We're now in the Blue Ribbon Garden atop the Disney Concert Hall. So this garden here is kind of an idyllic environment to walk around. There is a sculpture over there that looks like a flower petal, and that was made from hundreds of broken Delft china. That's a homage to Walt Disney and his wife, who liked to collect Delft china. So we're gonna go right ahead and proceed on to the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion. So let's go right this way. So we are in front of the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, which is where the LA Opera lives and plays. I've seen Mozart's Magic Flute right in there a few years ago, and even though I was in the nosebleeder seat, the sound was very overwhelming, especially when Queen of the Night took the stage. So highly recommended. Really nice acoustic, really nice interior as well. So we're gonna go in and check it out in a minute. Okay, next in line is the Broad Museum, the latest and newest addition to the Grand Avenue collection of cultural institutions. So this one was built 6 or 7 years ago. I'm not exactly sure. Essentially, it was the museum was founded by Eli Broad to originally house and act as a storage for his own personal collection. And I think over the years they've added to the permanent collection. So it was designed by the architectural design firm of Diller, Scofidio, and Renfro, which is best known for the High Line in Manhattan. And if you haven't been, I think it's one of the probably most ambitious and well-known urban renewal projects of the last decade. And I think they succeeded beyond anyone's imagination. On the back of that success, they were chosen amongst a sea of competitors to design this building. So the building, it has an exterior of reinforced concrete and fiberglass. And the building has two components. One on top, and that's the facade that kind of drapes over the building, which they call, and by they I mean the designers, the veil. And then the lower portion, the base of the structure, which they call the vault, and that's where the collection is stored. The concept behind the design is to make art accessible, so people outside of the museum can see into it, and people in the museum can peer out of those holes. So they have this honeycomb pattern on the facade, which invites visibility in and out, as also it acts to let in and filter light. And all of the openings are positioned at an angle, so lights do not shine upon the works of art within directly. So, on the subject of making art accessible to everyone, the founders of this museum have made it free, but you have to book in advance online. All right, enough said. Let's go in and take a closer look. Thank you for coming with me on a tour of all the cultural institutions on Grand Avenue. It's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Maybe you will come here personally to experience what LA has to offer. Well, all of this walking has worked up an appetite. So I'm going to go and refuel, recharge, and then I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.